So many people want to start their own business. They put it on the bucket list. So if you're one of those people that actually is taking action and build their own business, congratulations. You're setting yourself apart already from the rest. But now you need to be doing it in a proper and successful way. I've been an entrepreneur for 5 years, and let me give you some tips and lessons learned so I set you up for success. So the very first thing I suggest you do is come clean and be honest with yourself and test your mindset. Are you during the day showing more victim behavior, so you're blaming other people, you find excuses, or are you holding yourself and others accountable? So when something goes wrong, you ask yourself, what could I have done better? Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you don't want to be in the victim mindset all the time. That's not helpful. So first, gauge, be honest with yourself, verify, am I more of accountable or more of a victim mindset? And if you're more of a victim mindset, so first work on making it more accountable before you move on. We also made a video about accountable versus victim mindset. You might want to check that out. Secondly, let's assume you spend most of your time in the accountable mindset. Then the second step is build a proper business plan. And here you also need to be super honest. It's okay not to generate profits or a huge amount of revenues at the start, but try to forecast when you're gonna make what kind of money by when, so you are better equipped and have the right knowledge to make the right investments, because you need to make investments, be it in IT, software, hardware, personnel perhaps. So start with planning and make different scenarios, like a worst case scenario, what would it look like? Or a best case scenario, if everything goes well and it's all unicorns and butterflies, what will be my financial position in 1 year and 2 years down the road? Thirdly, you just heard me say about making investments. And here's an investment area that's probably not the most interesting one, but it's super important, which is admin. So invest in a system to record your incoming and outgoing invoices, how much money you're making, which invoices are due, etc. Not only it helps your organization be financially sound from the start, it also is super important when dealing with, the tax authorities, and in case you run into a bankruptcy, that at least you have all the materials and evidence to back up that you made the right decisions, and gives you this 360 view of your company all the time. Fourthly, probably opposed to admin, I find it the most interesting investment area, which is personnel. So when you just start, of course you don't think about, hiring a bunch of people, because that's not how it works unless you have a huge capital. But I remember that hiring the first person was the biggest change in my career as an entrepreneur, because every hire after that was less of a biggie. But going from 0 to 1 staff is huge. Make a plan if and when you want to hire personnel. When you decided to hire personnel, please don't copy yourself. What I mean by that is look for people that actually augment you, or different or better, or bring different perspectives. Because if you are trying to find somebody that looks like you, acts like you, behaves like you, well, you're doubling perhaps your company's capacity, but you limited yourself in new thinking and actually perhaps even breaking into new markets. So make a deliberate decision if you want to take on personnel, and if you're going to hire personnel, find personnel that sets you apart and makes you increase your emotional intelligence or your intellectual intelligence or your creativity. And it's also okay not to have personnel. Because mind you, the very moment you put somebody on the payroll, you're responsible for that person. Not only need to bring more in revenue to compensate the cost, you also need to manage that person. That's a responsibility that's on you as an entrepreneur. I liked it, but it also means that it took time away that I could have spent with customers and be out in the marketplace trying to bring revenue. But again, if you invest in the right people, then 1 + 1 = 3. Lastly, of course you hope that everything goes well and your product or service resonates with the market, you bring in tons of revenue, you're making profit, personnel member after member joins the company and it's all going well. But there can also be some times where you experience a lot of setbacks. And it's okay, it's normal to go through cycles in the business where you have less favorable times and then, aesthetic times. But it's okay if you have the grit and determination and see long-term perspective. But what I'm going after here is the following. If you see that the long-term perspective is not favorable for whatever reason, you're being disrupted, or there are regulations you can't deal with, or it's just setback after setback, you also need to have the guts to stop and finish it. Call it a day, file for bankruptcy, terminate the company, because there's no more stupid decision than not making a decision and hope for the best, that things will turn around. No, when things are bad and outlooks are horrible or less favorable, be bold enough, stop your business, take your losses, and then either start again in a new era or not, which is also fine. You have a responsibility for your customers, for your employees, for the people around you. So be smart. You know when it's time to stop. You make the decision and let not others make that decision for you. With that, look after yourself and look after each other.